All right, good morning, guys. I am going to quickly, in about 5 minutes, go over with you your notes on the Electoral College. I posted them, I think, Thursday or Friday of last week. Now, your test on this is going to be Wednesday. Now, it is, as of now, going to be either all multiple choice and a couple fill in the blank. Actually, that's probably the way it's going to be. So there's going to be no essays, nothing like that for you guys to worry about. So all multiple choice, all fill in the blanks, and you're going to do it online too. And whenever I post the test on Wednesday, I'll explain it to you. It's very easy. We already did it with my American Cultures 3 class. It seems to, knock on wood, be working pretty well. All right, so if you want to take a minute and open up those notes that I gave you in your files under Electoral College, it'll say New Electoral College. If you want to open up those notes real quick and look over them with me, when I go over these with you, you guys can do so. So if you want to pause me real quick and open up those notes, that might not be the worst idea. Okay, so let's take a look at slide 1, where the title says, "What is the Electoral College and how are electors chosen?" Now, when we say Electoral College, so let's say this November when we have our election, it's probably going to be Biden versus Trump. So let's say Trump wins Pennsylvania. You guys already know that Trump gets those electoral votes. Yes and no. And the reason I say yes and no is Pennsylvania has actual electors, human beings that will say we are going to give these electoral votes to President Trump. All right. When this first started years and years and years ago, way back in the late 1700s, the ideas from the framers of the Constitution were each state's going to have a group of people that's going to select the president. And we're going to trust them. They're going to be able to do it. And they'll make the best decision. Well, over the years, it has kind of changed a little bit to where the states obviously vote. So in November, you guys are going to be voting on who you feel should be the president of the United States if you're 18 at the time. If Trump wins that state, the electors still need to give them their votes, or give him their votes. Technically, Trump could win Pennsylvania, and the electors could say, well, we're going to give it to Biden anyway. Now, that will never happen because that's not how we do things. The electors would never do that. But they are the ones that will give him the votes, okay? Now, they choose the president. Obviously, they'll choose the vice president. If Mike Pence is with Trump again for this next election and Trump wins, Pence will be the vice president again. When this started a couple hundred years ago, the way it was whoever wins the election, say President Trump, whoever finished second would become the vice president. You didn't pick your vice president. So if we have Trump versus Biden in November, if Trump wins the election and Biden finishes second, Biden would then be the vice president. That's the way they used to do it hundreds of years ago. Obviously, they don't do it that way anymore. Okay, go to the slide where it says how many electors does each state have. Hopefully, you guys already know this. Each state gets a minimum of 3 electoral votes. You have your 2 senators and however many representatives in Congress you have. Now, the representatives of Congress are determined by the population of the state. Pennsylvania has a pretty big population. We have over 12 million people. So we have, I think, 19 representatives. I may be wrong on that. It changes every election. So we would have 21 electoral votes. You have your 2 senators, and then you have 19 congressmen and women. So that gives you 21 electoral votes. California has the most. They're in the 50s, and then New York. But then you have some states like Rhode Island that only has 3. Alaska only has 3. They got their 2 senators, only 1 congressman or congresswoman. So based on population is the determination of how many electoral votes you guys get in the election. Okay. Scroll down to where it says how many electors are needed to win. There are, and this I don't believe changes, there are 538 electoral votes available. 538. The number that a candidate needs to win the presidency is 270. That's the magic number every election. Once the president gets 270 electoral votes, that person is now the president-elect. Which is also why you see some candidates win more states but still lose the election. Because if you're winning Nebraska, Kansas, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Montana, you're racking up a lot of states, but you're not getting a lot of electoral votes. Okay, that's why it's important to get or to win the states that have the majority of the votes. Okay. Okay, that's it for that one. Go down to where it says, in an attempt to achieve the 270 votes, candidate campaigns create strategies for victories. Now, this has to deal with battleground states and states that you know you're going to win, states that you know you're going to lose. Let's look at it like this, for example. President Trump, come this election season, whenever it kicks off, obviously it's on hold right now, is probably not going to spend a lot of time campaigning in California. Now, why is he not going to spend a lot of time campaigning in California? He knows he's going to lose that state, right? California always votes Democrat. So why would President Trump waste money, time, and resources in a state that he knows he's going to lose? So instead, he's going to focus that money elsewhere. At the same time, he's also probably not going to spend a ton of time or a ton of money and a ton of resources in a state like Alabama. Why? Because just like he knows he's going to lose California, he also knows he's probably going to win Alabama too, right? And it's the same thing with Biden. Biden is not going to spend a lot of time in California. He's not going to spend a lot of time campaigning in California. Why? Because he knows he's going to win that state. Same thing with Mississippi. Biden's not going to spend a whole lot of time campaigning and spending a lot of money in Mississippi because he knows he's going to lose that state regardless of what he does, right? So where do those candidates spend most of their time? Where do they spend most of their money? Those are known as states called battleground states. Those are states with usually a lot of electoral votes. The reason I say usually, not always, like Iowa is always a battleground state. Doesn't have a lot of electoral votes, but they spend a lot of money there. Clearly, Pennsylvania is a battleground state. You guys will know this come September, October, and November, when every single commercial you see is going to be a commercial praising Trump, bashing Trump, praising Biden, bashing Biden. All right, because Pennsylvania can go either way. The last few elections, it went to the Democrats. This past election, it went to President Trump. But every election, it's very close. Okay, just like Ohio, just like Florida, just like Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa, and a few others. Okay, those are always the big states to win because they have a decent amount of electoral votes and they're always very close. So that is why when it's election time, we see all these commercials. And you know, time after time, we always say, I can't wait for the election to be over so I don't have to see these commercials anymore. Once again, though, if you move to a state like Mississippi, you're not going to see those commercials because they don't spend a whole lot of time. They don't spend a whole lot of energy campaigning in those states. Okay. Go down to the one where it says, does the Electoral College still effectively select the president? Issues of the debate, reasons against. Okay. There are a ton of people out there that think the Electoral College should be banished, gotten rid of, barred. What would be the reasons for it? Well, there have been a number of times in the past that the president, the candidate for president that has gotten the most votes loses the election because of the Electoral College. It's happened 5 times in our history. Most recently with this past election, okay? Hillary Clinton got 5 million more votes, popular votes, overall votes than President Trump. Yet, he won the Electoral College, so he still wins the presidency. The last time it happened before that was back in 2000. President George W. Bush and Al Gore. Al Gore got more votes than President Bush, but with the way the Electoral College works, President Bush became the president. That has happened 5 times in our history. And also because of it, 15 times, 15 elections, the person that won got less than 50% of the overall vote because of the way we do things with the Electoral College. So, you know, you get 43% of the vote, 44% of the vote, and you become president. Well, the majority of the people that voted didn't even vote for you. Yet, you still become president. And a lot of people don't like that. But the Electoral College is here. It's probably going to be here for the foreseeable future. And a lot of people are for it as well. A lot of people are pro-Electoral College. So go down to the last slide, and then we'll go over that real quick. It says proponents for the Electoral College believe that the system promotes federalism and guarantees the roles of the states in the process. All right. New York, California, Pennsylvania to a certain degree, Florida, they have the most people. So if you're a state like North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Montana, it's almost like, why even take part in this, right? Because we don't have a lot of people. Why do we even matter? Well, with the Electoral College, they do matter, okay? Because it's not just overall popular vote. It is the electoral votes of the states. So what this does is this puts small states into play, all right? Now, if it only was by the popular vote, and I'm running for president, I'm spending all my time in New York City, I'm spending all my time in Los Angeles, Miami, Philadelphia, Boston, where all the people are. And I'm going to listen to their issues, their worries, their wishes, what they want me to do as a president. I'm not spending time in Iowa. I'm not spending time in Montana. Excuse me. What this does is it forces candidates to at least pay attention to them, all right? And have to listen to what the issues of the farmers are, the coal miners, those types of people. If it wasn't for the Electoral College, the candidates probably wouldn't care, because they would care only about what the people that live in the highly populated areas care about. So this gives the people in the less populated areas a voice as far as picking their president. And people say if we only do a straight popular vote, to where it's, hey, whoever gets the most votes in the country becomes the president, that opens up an increased likelihood of voter fraud, because you're looking at 120 million people voting, and then you're going to count those votes, and then whoever gets the most wins. We have voter fraud issues in this country anyway, but if that's the only way, and that's the single solitary way we pick our president, there may be some even more shady stuff going on. So that's another reason that the Electoral College is more important, because Pennsylvania only worries about how the people in Pennsylvania vote. They only count Pennsylvania votes. They're not counting Nebraska's votes. They're not counting New York's votes. If you do straight popular vote throughout the entire country has to count up their votes, hope to God they got it right, and then pick their president that way. So the Electoral College decreases the likelihood of voter fraud, even though there still is voter fraud here and there regardless. Okay. Now, that was just me kind of breaking down the notes that I already posted for you. Your test on this, once again, is going to be on Wednesday. If you have any questions between now and then, shoot me a message. I'll answer it for you to the best of my ability. Also, once you get the test on Wednesday, it's a new type of test. I've never given you this type of test before as far as online goes. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's pretty easy, but since it's new, you still may be confused by it. You still may be having some issues with it. Message me if you have problems. Message me if you have questions. I'll answer them to the best of my ability, all right? Watch this video as many times as you need to. Take a look at your notes as many times as you need to. And by about 10 a.m. on Wednesday, the test is going to be posted for you guys to take. And the window for that test to be open is going to be all day Wednesday. It's probably going to close at 11:59 on Wednesday night. All right? Short test, easy test. Study the notes, study this video. You guys will be fine. All right? Have a good day. Be talking to you guys soon. Bye.